Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our office are located in beautiful, man, it's cold outside this morning, downtown Olivet, Missouri. I'm a 40-plus year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined today by my very able crew, my oldest daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who also is a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager and Medicare expert. And Robert Markham, our life insurance fixed annuity specialist and newest financial advisor.
Good morning.
As well.
Good morning. We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind.
First, it's to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one they can count on, so they can do all the things they'd like to do during retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, with Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Gang, again, good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning to everybody out in Radio Land. Thanks so much for taking your time and tuning in with us. As a reminder, all of our clients are folks that are like you. There are listeners, they're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And again, as Aaron mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun, financially successful retirement. That's what it's all about.
That's right. And please, I was going to say, there are many ways that you can keep in contact with us, but you can contact us right now by calling the show, 314-931-5877, or sending us a text, 84126, on the text line if you have a question about retirement planning, 401k rollovers, Medicare open enrollment, lots of options. But if you'd like to stay in touch with us during the week, please log on to our website, jblfinancial.com. In the upper right-hand corner, you can click on the Contact Us button, where you can request a coaching session, a Medicare coaching session, or both. And we also have a monthly newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner. You can sign up for that by clicking in the pop-up box that appears on the lower left-hand side of the screen that says sign up for our monthly newsletter.
Or on every page.
And our October 2023 newsletter has some great articles you're definitely going to want to check out. And this is the last week of it because the November one hits the press next week. And the first article is Workers and Retirees Losing Confidence. And this article just basically highlights the difference, the confidence level between workers and retirees. And surprise, surprise, retirees are a little bit more confident in their ability to stay retired than workers are in their ability to actually retire. Same as it ever was. And our second article, New Medicare Rules Tackle Prescription Drug Prices. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 has some provisions intended to lower prescription drug costs, whether it's negotiating directly with Medicare, whether it's insulin cost-sharing limits, or redesign Part D benefits. So
and Rob's really underplaying the magnitude of what has happened with prescription drug prices. Over the next several years, you're actually going to be capped at how much you can spend in 1 year on your prescription drug prices, which has never been the case. So it's a pretty monumental change that'll take place over the next several years if no other changes are made before that.
There's even some inflation rebates tucked in there as well. So it's a great article. It bullet points some of the highlights of their Inflation Reduction Act. Certainly going to want to check that out.
So actually, things that are actually addressing inflation.
Not only is it addressing inflation,
Right.
but it's addressing the piece of Medicare that has always lagged behind the rest of the market, which is prescription drug pricing for Medicare enrollees has always been the most expensive piece of health care for individuals that have higher price medications. And now, hopefully, over the course of the next several years, we're really going to be able to cap the expense for Medicare participants. A couple of years ago, they started with the insulin cost-sharing limits, which, as long as you choose a plan that your specific type of insulin is on the formulary, you're going to pay a $35 copay for that versus ending up potentially in the donut hole because of insulin. So lots of good new things that are happening for Medicare.
Cool.
And our third article is pairing high-deductible health plans with health savings accounts to help control medical costs. It's a great primer on if these plans are available to you, how you might use them in conjunction to bring these costs down to a much more manageable level.
And we weren't able to rename that article because of compliance, but I would have named it "Become Your Own Banker" after you, Dad.
There you go,
Because
babe.
using a health savings account is a way to pay for your medical expenses without having to pay taxes.
I mean, and this is real important because folks are in their open enrollment right now for 2024, and maybe you haven't had an opportunity to take a look at your plan, but if you do have an HSA option health plan, and depending on how you and or your employer participates with this HSA, it could be really big-time savings for you, so take a look at that.
Absolutely.
And our last article, great one. You've received an inheritance. Now what? Whether it's considering the tax consequences, developing a financial game plan, reevaluating or evaluating your estate plan, or maybe even getting a second set of eyes in the form of a financial professional to give you some outside advice. It's a great article on you've received the inheritance. Here's some things you should consider. And I know we've touched on these things many, many times.
That's right.
And we're going to do that in a few minutes as well.
Yes, we are.
And again, easy to access. Just go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Click on that Coach's Corner newsletter icon in the bottom left-hand corner, and it also does show up on every page. In our website, you can sign up, and we'd love to send this to you every month by email.
That's right. Our first text comment has come in.
And our texter writes, so the drug company's just going to drive up prices on non-retirees.
Now, that's a cynical way to look at things. But actually, unfortunately, because Medicare itself is a government program, there were rules restricting Medicare being able to negotiate drug prices with the pharmaceutical companies. That is not the case for private insurers. They have the ability to negotiate. So this is really another way to use U.S. taxpayer dollars as opposed to, don't worry, the drug companies are going to get paid.
Well, honey, we know that they're doing that now because all health plans have formularies, and those
Right.
are obviously the negotiated prices with the drugs and the drug manufacturers and the drug
right, but
companies.
under Medicare, the drug companies set those prices.
I've got you.
So,
Woohoo.
like we said, the drug companies will get paid. It'll just be U.S. tax dollars as a whole as opposed to individual Medicare enrollees through higher prices.
Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And we love those texts.
Yes, we do.
We
Keep them
also
coming.
love emails as well. And if you like to, during the show, you can always send an email to our website under the Contact Us section. Erin will be checking that as well for your questions. And then also you can always email her, Erin, at jblfinancial.com.
Check them during the show, so log on to the website, jblfinancial.com, click the Contact Us section. You can ask the question now, and we'll get right to it. Or if you're looking for a coaching session, Medicare, financial, or both, we'll set that up for you come Monday morning.
Yes, and this show is all about, I like to think of us as storytellers. We like to talk about situations that we see typically during coaching sessions with clients or prospective clients Situations that we pick out we think will be interesting for you to listen to, because planning a retirement isn't only about investing your money, managing your money, but it's also dealing with much other issues. Rob had just talked about in our newsletter discussions about inheritances, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this morning, just go through coaching sessions I have with some clients, and it was fun. Frank and Helen both had
Frank and Helen.
Yeah.
Is that where you went to dinner last night?
No, I went there last week, but
Frank and Helen's has been around since before World War I.
Before
That's a long time.
You mean before your mother? Yeah, I understand.
Whoa! And she's listening, so I guess you're not going home.
Yeah, well, she's getting a massage this morning, so the nice thing is that she'll have some time to cool off. In either case, I didn't want it to be Joe and Sally, so I picked Frank and Helen, okay?
Okay.
These are folks that recently had retired, and both of them were under their normal retirement age, which means they're under the age of 67. They're expecting to net about $300,000 from the sale of their mom's primary residence. And their question obviously was, what options should we consider with the proceeds? Not unusual.
Well, first, the really cool thing is the net, the $300,000, is that after any taxes from growth or from an increase? I'm sure they may have been able to sell at a premium with the way the housing market is right now.
Well, what's kind of nice is that since they were one of the TODs on that house through a beneficiary deed, they don't have to deal with the sale of it just like they would with as if they'd owned the home themselves.
Well, they get the step up in basis, but I was just wondering
Right.
if they owed any taxes because they may have sold it for more than it was valued at.
For the purpose of this discussion, let's say no.
All right. So
Okay.
they got $300,000 tax-free.
Yes, income
Very
tax
cool.
free. And so, what are some of the things that they can consider doing with the money?
Well, they could decide to save the proceeds in a high-yielding money market account, and they're currently paying around 4%. So $300,000, 4%, that could generate as much as $12,000 in interest. Those funds could either be accumulated or consumed to satisfy part of their monthly income needs.
That's a great point. Obviously interest is taxable, so they probably net around $10,000, which is still, no one was paying that much 18 months ago, so that's fabulous.
Exactly. And, you do mention that they could use it in part to satisfy some of their monthly income needs. And we know that they were a little bit short, about $5,000 a month, which they needed at this point. We were supplementing from their other investments to create that income source.
So really they'd be down to needing only about $4,000 a month if they were taking the net proceeds every month from the...
Right. And then alternatively, they could, if they wanted to, consume some of this as a way to make that up. And we know that consuming money that's after tax is a non-taxable situation, and that could put them in a situation where maybe they could postpone their Social Security benefits further down the road, or even to normal retirement age, and then obviously still have some of that capital left. That's not a bad deal.
Or the third alternative would be we can reduce their monthly income need by eliminating a current debt that they have. They have about $120,000 balance of a loan on a boat. So we know that they'll be having lots of expenses in the future. But the first thing to tackle is the $1,100 a month payment that they have to pay off that $120,000 loan. If, we were to use a prudent rate of withdrawal, which is 4%, we'd say in order to generate that $1,100 a month to make the payment, we would need about $330,000 of capital. But the loan balance is only $120,000. So they could take $120,000 of their $300, pay the loan off, and that would reduce their monthly income need from $5,000 a month to $3,900 a month.
Which is cool, and they'd still have part of the capital left, and that capital still could be invested in earning income, and obviously whittle away a little bit more on their income needs, so that possibly
they can continue to put off Social Security.
Yes, and or what happens is we can reduce certainly the amount of distributions we're making from their retirement accounts to make up that deficit.
It's so nice to have a variety of options, and that savers are actually being rewarded for actually having saved.
That's very true. And it also gives people, I think it gives you a lot more options and flexibility because you feel like your money, even if it is sitting in a savings account or a money market account, it's actually working for you without having to take on the risk of jumping into the stock market.
In a pretty substantial way. I mean, if they just siphon off the interest, I mean, that it's not exactly a one-for-one, but it's almost a one-for-one in the interest they would receive and the balance on the loan, the $1,100, it basically wipes that away.
Yep. Fantastic.
Yes, and, at the end of the day, one thing I hope that our listeners may take from this is that it's easier to pay off obligations than it is to grow capital. We know that that's true. So reducing your outflows makes your current inflows that much more valuable. Plus, also what it does in this particular case, as we talked about, a $120,000 loan versus a $300,000 of cash available.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes your capital more valuable.
And that's a great point. I would also say that people are now struggling with that decision, which is they may have a loan, for example, a loan balance on a primary mortgage, where a lot of people are still in that 3% or less category in terms of what their primary mortgage interest rate is. Do I pay the mortgage off, or do I accumulate more interest because many money market accounts are paying more than their mortgage? Do I just take the excess that I am earning in interest sitting in the savings account towards the mortgage?
Oh, that's a beautiful situation when you're earning 4, but you're only paying like 2.8 or sub 3.
Well, yes, but it can be even more complicated than that.
Ooh, more complicated.
Well, sure. So as an example, let's just say that the mortgage isn't new,
mm-hmm.
but let's say on a 30-year mortgage, let's assume for a moment that it's 10 years old.
So they've got 20 years left?
Right. Well, what's happened is most of their payment is no longer going towards interest. It's now primarily going to principal. And if they happen to be higher wage earners,
they might not be able to take the deduction.
That's right. Number one is that, like myself, I'll tell you, this is the first year that your mom and I aren't itemizing our deductions because the interest portion isn't large enough.
Right.
Fortunately, we don't have enough health care expenses after tax that are over, 10% adjusted gross income right now?
For people over 65, it's 7.5%.
Yeah, so we're talking about large expenses in that way, so we're not able to itemize. So the 3% isn't really 3 anymore.
I see. It's
exactly, and is it really worth continuing that? I think, again, it's an individual decision. A lot of it will also be based on comfort level.
Right. Also, the cool thing I feel like is, like you just said, Dad, the comfort level, which is this is a decision you get to make every day. As long, if you've done your math and you can support paying the mortgage, maybe you just don't want to anymore. If you've got the capital sitting somewhere, you can make that decision. Hey, do I pay it all off at once? Do I just pay in big chunks over multiple years to change the amortization schedule but maintain my liquidity? You have the great thing I think about designing game plans is nothing has to be all or nothing. We don't have to make a definitive decision or pick one route. We get to take multiple routes to get to where we want to go.
It's a great thing when you make the meal, you can choose the ingredients.
That's a great one. Let's get to our next text question.
And our next texter writes, Aaron, I read an article yesterday talking about hospitals and healthcare corporations are dropping some managed care programs. What do you recommend for people if that happens to them? What are their options if that happens?
So these articles come out every single year during open enrollment time, just like Social Security is going bankrupt. Articles come out during every election year. Every single year, managed care plans modify their network. So when we're talking about managed care plans, you could be referring to Medicare Advantage plans if you're Medicare eligible, or you could be referring to group health insurance plans if you're still employed and working and your employer provides your coverage, or even individual health care policies if you're under 65 and potentially retired are considered managed care plans. And all this means is that the insurance companies went to a hospital system and negotiated the rates that now become what your health insurance plan looks like. Every single year, health insurance companies, in an effort to either contain costs or improve benefits for their enrollees are making decisions on size and scope of network. If you happen to be on a Medicare Advantage plan and you have found that for the upcoming year, because everyone has to announce what their networks look like, they actually have to submit it to CMS last March for the upcoming enrollment period. If you find that one of your physicians does not fit into the plan that you are currently using, this is your opportunity to make a switch, to find the managed care plan or the Medicare Advantage plan, as they are more frequently called, that does have physicians that fit your needs. So there are a lot of options out there.
And I was going to suggest here that with managed care plans, that is company health insurance plans, your mom was the one who negotiated these plans with the insurance companies for the BJC healthcare system for many years. And once every 3 years, these contracts come up for renegotiation. They're always playing chicken with each other. The company says we're going to terminate coverage with the network. All the docs are on.
Sure. The
hospital says go for it. We don't care because we're the ones with the patients, not you. And they eventually come to a negotiated settlement. Usually, nobody has to move their network. So, I would be cautious about that. But at the same time, especially for those who are Medicare participants, it's so important for you to not only check your plan in terms of your physicians, but also your drugs. If your drugs have changed, the formularies also can change. And at the same time, there are different plans that may cover some drugs at different tier copay levels. I'm not getting in trouble with my daughter here, so I'm doing pretty good so far. So
we'll allow you to continue.
It's easy to do. Just pick up the phone, give us a call, 314-863-0008. Our Medicare in-house person, Frank Ellis, who usually is on the show with us each week during the Medicare open enrollment season. He'll be happy to help you out.
Absolutely. This is your opportunity to avoid having to make changes to your physicians because your plan does not accept them.
But you know what we can't avoid?
What's that?
Taking our first break of the hour. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Hey, it's John Carney, and I don't want to scare you, and we're still a little way away from Christmas and all. But that time of year, Santa comes rolling over to the house, lands on the chimney, and comes down with lots of gifts. Of course, if he lands on your chimney and he falls through the roof, I bet he's not going to leave you anything except for a card of his attorney. So it might be a good idea. Make sure your roof's in tip-top shape. And if it's not about Santa, it's about everything that's under that roof. You, your family, your stuff. You know what? Allen Roofing's been taking care of all of those things, probably even for Santa as well. I don't know if they go to the North Pole. But they go lots of places, including your neighborhood. Make sure your roof is safe and sound, and your people as well. Siding, tuck pointing, everything outside, they will do your homework. Find them online at aroofing.net. Ho, ho, ho.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home or condo. It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at robangproperties.com.
The photo, formerly Creve Core Camera, will preserve your family history. Bring in your old home movies, VHS, DVDs, slides, memory cards, and piles of photos. We will put them on a thumb drive for you to share with the entire family. With the Photo Pros, nothing leaves St. Louis. Only trust a local company with your memories. You can Google the Photo Pros STL or Creve Core Camera, or just give us a call at 314-567-3456. That's 314-567-3456.
October is National Pizza Month, so that means it's National Dogtown Month. Dogtown Pizza, of course. And with 11 different varieties, you can celebrate all month long. Bacon, deluxe, and even hot wing pizza. So load up, because October also means football, hockey, and postseason baseball. And nothing goes better with pumpkin spice lattes than a bit of pepperoni. October is National Pizza Month, so that means it's Dogtown Pizza Month.
I'm Jennifer Blome, and like a lot of you, I have anxiety about going to the dentist. I was so happy when I found Baldwin Dental Care. Dr. Kimberly Simons is the owner, and she and her staff understand what it's like to be a patient. There's a new patient special right now, a comprehensive exam, a cleaning, 4 x-rays, and an oral cancer screening for $99 or a $100 credit on your account. Baldwin Dental Care in the old Johnny Mac Sporting Goods store on Manchester Road. Just Google Baldwin Dental Care and tell them Jennifer and Wendy sent you.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Lang.
And I'm Dr. Katie O'Brien.
Every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3, we'll be on the Big 550 talking about everything regarding dogs, cats, and other domestic animals.
We'll discuss nutrition, training, regular medical checkups, invite special guests, and, of course, answer your questions.
So join us every Sunday afternoon from 2 to 3 with Animal Talk on the Big 550 KTRS.
The Animal Talk of St. Louis.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back, folks. It's 9:32 here on the Big 550 KTRS. Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm glad we came back from that break. I almost gave my daughter a lot of money.
That would have been great.
You still can.
You still can.
We have another break coming up.
Right, several more. Got 2 hours of the hour and a half of the show left.
Okay.
Gifts are great. Giving is great.
Receiving is better.
If it's me that's doing the receiving, yes.
Yes, so it's interesting. We were having our own discussion about should Aaron pay off her mortgage or not. That's a good idea.
And while we wait for your calls, text, and emails, I thought we would get into an email we received from John.
Well, let's do that, but let's also remind folks you can call us at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And John emailed us to say, I am 64, considering retiring later this year. When I turn 65, I plan to call you to arrange a coaching session to discuss how to create an income stream to replace my current paycheck.
Sounds like he's been a listener.
And how to choose the right health care plan to go along with Medicare.
He's really been a listener.
John.
I have a 401k invested in a moderate mix, 60% stock mutual funds and 40% bond mutual funds. Everything I read says I should become more conservative as an investor during retirement. Do you agree?
No, I do not agree. We know that, John, if you're in reasonably good health, you think you are, and maybe you are, that you could be retired for as much as 30-plus years.
You could be retired for longer than you worked.
That is wild.
Would be cool. That would be
Yes.
amazing, right?
And if we're also in a situation where we need to withdraw money from your retirement accounts or other accounts to replace a part of your paycheck, as we typically do, then what we're going to want to do is make sure that we've created a portfolio that has an opportunity. There's no guarantees, obviously, but is invested with the opportunity to earn a rate of interest that well exceeds not only your withdrawal rate, but also inflation and taxes, right?
Right. So in order to do that, our target return is about 8%.
Yes, it is, which is 4% withdrawal rate plus 3% interest, 1% taxes.
You mean inflation?
Inflation, thank you, and 1% taxes.
And, we were talking about this earlier, we're using averages for inflation over a long period of time.
Yes.
We just experienced a relatively high bout of inflation that doesn't appear to be quite over yet. But if we look past the last 10 years, we were not only no inflation, but in some cases deflationary in many areas. So
we're looking at him, basically, John, we're saying is you're certainly going to maintain a mix that is similar to what you have.
Right.
And possibly even maybe a little bit more equity involved,
So
depending on your risk tolerance.
So now that John emailed, how does he get started?
Well, the first thing he has to do is we're going to send him out a packet, and in that packet is going to be a profile questionnaire, so we can get an idea of his risk tolerances and such.
We're also going to be able to compare. We're going to ask him to bring in his 401k so we can take a look at how he is currently invested and compare his current mix to what his optimal mix might be.
Then we're also going to, based upon our discussions about his cash flow needs in terms of his income needs and also what his sources are, we'll be able to then determine between whatever the difference of those are divided by 4%. It'll tell us the amount of capital he needs. And that will also then tell us, based on his income need, what withdrawal rate he'll be at. So will he be at an optimal withdrawal rate of 4% or less?
The next thing we might do is estimate future capital needs with amounts and target dates.
So we know that
everyone always has something that's coming up, whether it's a new car, a marriage, a vacation, a home improvement. I mean, I think we've just about heard it all. And the sooner we know how much and when, we can put together a game plan that, meets those needs.
Right, because our goal first is to ensure that your ongoing income needs, what it takes to run your lifestyle on a day-to-day basis, meets that 4% rate of withdrawal. But like Rob said, there's always things that come up. Now, some people plan for those things in their monthly cash flow. So, for example, they're natural planners. They've divided up their bank accounts into, this is the account where I pay my property taxes, this is the account that's going to the vacation fund, and this is our working capital account, as we like to call it, just where you're paying all the normal bills out of. If you've already factored that in, or like we say, amortized it over 12 months, we don't have to add additional funds for you. But if you're someone that says, this is my monthly income and I like to take one trip a year, it costs about $3,000, we can then factor that in too.
Well, as planners, we like to plan. And, the sooner we have your plans, then we can construct a game plan that's going to meet those needs.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to suggest here that maybe, if you can, and you can't do this if you're driving down the road, okay? But if you close your eyes and you kind of visualize this, we have a bucket, if you want to think of it as a faucet. And behind that faucet is the milk money, the capital that you need to generate the income flow to deal with your needs. And in this, and let's use the case as an example. We met with John and Judy. They've told us that their after-tax spending goal right now is $8,000 per month. We have to increase that for taxes by 20%, saying that their pre-tax need is $9,600 per month.
And just to clarify this, that means that you can pay the taxes, the $1,600 a month worth of taxes that you'll owe at the end of the year ongoing, but $8,000 will be dropped into your bank account every month, very similar to your paycheck. You live off of the net proceeds from all of the deductions that happen, including taxes, and we're going to try to replicate that for you.
And obviously this came out of our coaching session, so we know that the sources that they have are no pension income, but between the two of John and Judy, their Social Security benefits are going to run about $5,200 a month. So they're short about $3,400 a month, or approximately $40,000 a year. We know that we take $40,000, we divide it by 4%.
Right.
We're basically looking at, we need $1 million to generate $40,000 a year, right? 1 million times 4%, 40,000. They have, and that's the milk money. So regardless of where that money is, whether it's in IRAs, Roth IRAs, after-tax accounts, we're going to then obviously try to source where that $40,000 is going to come from for them in a tax-efficient manner.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really the milk money.
And I just wanted to go back quickly because I know a lot of people are thinking about, the rising cost of living of things, especially over the last year or so. I think by slightly overestimating taxes, because we know, like you said, Dad, money might come from multiple sources. Some pre-tax, meaning we'll have to pay taxes in order to get at it. Some after-tax in a variety of ways. It could be in Roth, or it could be in an after-tax brokerage account. It could be in your bank account. We are building a buffer in for you for when things do become slightly more expensive.
Yes, and that's important to do. So when you think about it, we have this reservoir that has the milk money. Mm-hmm. We also know that clients need to have another reservoir that we call the vault, which is their emergency fund, their backup savings. They wake up in the middle of the night, they have an emergency, Johnny calls, whatever it would be. The other assets that are there really then can be considered either for capital consumption or for fun, as I like to call fun money. So as Rob was talking about earlier, understanding what projects you have in your mind in the future, whether it's for replacing a car, whether it's for remodeling the kitchen, whether it's for helping the grandkids with, with parochial school, whatever it would be, college education.
Down payment on new home.
Whatever it would be, if we want to identify that, put a time on it, when we're going to need that money, and then really what we think about is that money is actually then moved over towards the vault because we know it's going to be consumed.
And not only does this create a little bit of security because we don't want to put short-term needs at long-term risk by having them invested, but also it helps us tax plan in the future. So the example that I like to use is buying a car, because we know for certain that you most likely can secure an auto loan. Most of those notes run 5 years. The 5-year note is the maximum amount of time to pay off that loan. We can do it in any amount of time, but as the cost of cars has increased, if you're looking at a car between $40,000 and $60,000, what does that do to your tax bracket? So if we want to consider taking out the loan and creating our own amortization schedule that becomes more tax efficient for you, having open lines of communication, being able to pre-plan for these events makes it easier for us to help plan, not only so you are able to do all the things that you want to do, but hopefully we can save you a few tax dollars in the process.
And I think what you're referring to here, honey, is that most of our clients don't have large Roth IRA accounts.
Or even really large after-tax accounts.
Right. It's primarily, most of their money is sitting in, obviously now they're IRAs because they've moved their 401k over to become a self-directed IRA with us.
But they were originally in 401ks, and that's because the conventional wisdom was save pre-tax. You were also, hopefully, you were working for an employer that had a match. So not only were you using the power of your own savings and the market to increase your wealth over time, but your employer was also contributing a portion to that too. It was all sitting pre-tax, meaning no one had paid taxes on it yet. So you get the joy of doing that.
And while we plan for future capital needs with amounts and target dates, what we're also going to be doing is rebalancing John's portfolio, ever so often to capture gains and, hopefully create the cash as required.
Yes, no doubt about that. And again, it's not easy to maybe, we're talking about we have a target return on our client portfolios approximately 8%. We don't achieve that every year. And obviously the last couple of years it's been even more difficult. But what we do know is that by staying invested in a diversified portfolio
that meets your risk tolerance.
Exactly. What we're really talking about is a moderate mix or better. The statistics of the past have shown us is that these returns are something that can be achievable, have been achieved. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be in the future. We think that they will be. We hope that they will be. And what's kind of nice is that during the times when things aren't going as well, what we've had an opportunity to do, and we can really, and frankly, most folks can look at their portfolios now and they can go, look, what happened in 20 and 21,
right?
Where the markets rocketed, and then a lot of folks left the gains in there. Some folks drained them, but the truth is that better years create backup for not so great years. It also puts you in a situation where, when you do have these, I like to call them extraordinary one-time expenditures, maybe the remodeling, the car, etc., those type of things, we have the capital that's there, and it isn't. We're not actually dipping into the milk money, because once we start going into the milk money pot, we're talking about higher withdrawal rates, and nobody wants to run out of money.
So really what all of these pieces of information coupled together show is number one determinant of if you will be able to sustain your capital over a long period of time in retirement is your withdrawal rate. We can't control what the market does, and over any 20-year period, we've historically seen that the markets are positive. So we know that in the good years, like you said, Dad, if we're banking those gains, we'll be living off of them 1 to 5 years down the road when maybe the 8% target isn't met. We have a down year like last year, or just a trading in a range year like this one.
So the executive takeaways really are, you have to stay invested for the long term, because it's
time in the market, not timing the market.
You may be retired longer for, longer
than you worked.
Exactly, and not letting that withdrawal rate tip over the apple cart. And we need to bank gains in the good years so that, when we have some challenging times like what we could be going into now, you've banked some of that to give yourself the cushion you need.
Now, with John and Judy, we failed to mention, which we will do now, is that they had approximately $1.7 million of retirement assets.
Oh, wow. So they were rock stars. They only needed $1 million to maintain their income. 80,000 of the 1.7 was in savings, which is fabulous.
So they were good to go. And obviously being good to go mean that your withdrawal rate is significantly lower
than your capital.
Exactly, than your capital need. Put you in a position where you, I think, have more decisions, as we talked about with our last vignette.
More flexibility.
Right?
That's right.
When do I take Social Security? When do I do this? When do I do that? Can I afford to do this? Can I afford to do that? Those are all important things to do, but what's also important is answering your phone calls and texts at 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And we are coming up on our second break of the hour, but after the 9 a.m. hour, the 10 a.m. hour begins.
The hour of Medicare Power.
That's right. So if you have questions about Medicare
and
open
we know
enrollment,
you do.
Of course you do. Start gearing them up, because text them in 84126 on the text line, because we are going to be here to answer each and every one of your questions every single week during open enrollment, and this week is no different. So don't touch that dial.
We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Boy, the heat and the humidity of the summer is gone. We can open up the windows and enjoy some of that fresh air. Oh, wait a minute. You can't open up your window? It hasn't been opened up since the Reagan administration? Time for you to get new windows and maybe some new doors. Where do you get windows and doors? Well, you go to the store to get them, the window store. That's right, the window store, WS Window and Door. They've been around a long time. Larry Thornton, the owner, he's trying to retire, but he keeps selling windows. Now, they don't really sell windows. All they do at the window store is they give you a bid. That's it. That's all they do. And then they'll let their bid do their talking. Every window and door is energy efficient. There is no upselling. There is no marketing, buy one, get 70 free, or take 900% off. No. The window store is a great St. Louis company with great St. Louis people, and all they want to do is give you a bid, and they'll let their bid do their talking for you. So open up that door, open up that window. Make the phone call, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net. Let's talk about your tile floor. Are the high-traffic areas darker than the other? Hi, everybody. McGraw Millhaven here for the Grout Medic. That discoloration is years of dirt and buildup. The Grout Medic will professionally clean and then seal your grout so it's one consistent color again, just like the day you installed it. Their sealer protects for 7 to 10 years. 636-317-8860 or online at groutmedicstl.com. You can even change the color of your grout. groutmedicstl.com.
When it comes to owning a home, there are a lot of things to know, and one of the things we often forget about until there's a problem is our roof. Hail hits and wind damage don't always show up right away. That's why you need to do a yearly inspection with your professional roofer. I mean, your roof could be leaking for years before you ever notice it inside. So do yourself a favor and set up an inspection with your professional roofer. It will save you money in the long run. YourProfessionalRoofer.com or call Mike Lametta and his team at 636-866-5660. Your Professional Roofer. Their name says it all.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
If you're like me, age 65 or older, congratulations. By today's standards, we shouldn't be alive. We didn't wear bike helmets. We drank from the hose. We played outside all day and got cut up and broke bones. We rode in cars that didn't have seatbelts, let alone airbags. We did things that people today wouldn't dream of. But that doesn't mean we're invincible. These days, we have doctor appointments, multiple medications, and chronic conditions to manage. That's why there's Teladoc Health. Teladoc Health brings together all of your health care into one program, including everything from primary care to chronic care management. We even have coaches to help you with diabetes, hypertension, and weight management. And for non-emergencies, someone is always available to speak with at any time during the day or night, no matter what your health issue is. Teladoc Health offers everything needed to live healthier ever after. Learn more at teladochealth.com. That's TELADOC health.com.
This is Diana with Newstetter's Fine Jewelry. This year we're celebrating 50 years in business. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your lives for over half a century. It's because of you that our small family business thrives in St. Louis. From our family to yours, thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
9:51. We're back for the last couple of minutes of this first hour of Straight Talk and Retirement. We'll be talking Medicare, because we know you care, for during hour number. That was pretty good, I think.
That was excellent.
Organic and clever.
I guess
My
I should have.
goodness, you should have warned us.
I should have warned you. I'm sorry. But our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from It's Heating Up. Text line.
Well, we said Medicare. That means go time.
There you go.
Let's
and
go.
Our next texter writes, I have seen TV commercials in the St. Louis area where Aetna Medicare program provides a prepaid card that the user can use to get food, over-the-counter items, gas, personal care items, utility, and rent and or mortgage. Is there multiple Aetna Medicare plans to choose from for St. Louis?
You okay?
No. The way they stack those things is very problematic. I can read. I know, really, guys, I can. It's just if you saw what I was reading from, it's like a Jenga puzzle.
Well, I have great news. Rob can read, and also there are not only are there multiple Aetna policies available in the St. Louis metro area, there are 2 PPOs, there's an HMO available. Anthem also offers multiple plans. Humana, United Healthcare, they all offer multiple plans. They all offer over-the-counter benefits. Many of them offer additional benefits to use for gas, personal care items, utilities, rent, and mortgage. So our recommendation is that you work with a professional like Frank Ellis in our office, who not only can help make sure that your doctors and prescriptions fit into the plan that you are looking at, but can really review all of the extra benefits available to you, which ones are most important to you, because if your doctors and prescriptions fit into multiple plans, maybe your decision point does come down to, I need a few extra dollars to pay for gas every month, or I have a lot of over-the-counter items. I'd like to have one of the plans that has a little bit extra in that area. So, yes, that commercial is accurate. Yes, there are multiple plans to choose from. And yes, Aetna's not the only one that offers those great benefits.
Are they the only ones that offer the $200 skis?
So not to get too far into the weeds with the extras at the moment, but for example, there are companies, for example, Essence will offer a choice. You get to choose between a benefit that provides groceries or a benefit for gas or a benefit for over-the-counter items, or, for example, with some of the other companies, they're going to offer you specific benefits. Aetna is going to give you $200 a quarter for co-pays. They're also going to give you $75 a quarter for over-the-counter items with some of their policies. So there's a lot of different ways to construct all of these extra benefits. Each insurance company, I think, is testing the waters as to what the best configuration of extra benefits is, because that's the real differentiator in most cases with these plans, is the extras that are going to be available to you. So every insurer is competing for the best constellation of extra benefits to entice you onto their plan.
And I know that from reviewing our notes for today's hour number 2, that you're going into the weeds on this.
That's why I didn't want to jump the gun and give our segment before it's time.
Well, again, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And while we're waiting,
we have a few more texts. Let's go, Rob.
And our next texter writes, I have several investments inside my IRA. How should I determine which to sell when executing a required minimum distribution?
That's easy peasy.
Easy peasy, you say.
Absolutely.
Lemon squeezy.
Right. Well, the first level I would look at is my portfolio in balance as compared to
my target?
My target. So what we're talking about here is that if I'm looking at maintaining, let's say, like our friends from our last segment, a moderate portfolio of, let's say, 60% equity, stock equity funds, and
40% fixed income,
cash and CDs and or bonds. What I would look at doing is a little bit of pruning, which is I would prune the winners,
if you have any,
right, to get down to that 60. This year you might not, unless they're NASDAQ funds. This year down to 60%. And then obviously I would then look at if your fixed income funds have grown, which they probably haven't. You're such a negative, Nellie.
And we're just being realistic right now.
Right. Pruning. If not, there's always method number 2.
Kill the stuff you don't like.
Right. Or, as I like to say, if you looked in the mirror, it didn't run away, of course, or screamed, and said to yourself, if I had cash...
And you're looking at yourself in the mirror because you're having an honest conversation.
Yes. And if I had cash today, would I buy this individual security or this fund again?
Or this ETF or whatever the security happens to be.
If the answer is no, then it's time to go.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's another. You're just like whipping out these one-liners today.
You know, I'm just spontaneous on the radio. It's easy. So if you don't love it, why would you keep it? Not for the opportunity cost for it to grow because you hate it and it's not go, and then it went down, so it's not coming back up so quick. But bottom line is that if you don't love it, get rid of it. But first thing is get in balance. That's important. That's the big deal.
Absolutely.
And our next texter writes, I just started a new job. What should I do with my old 401k?
Oh, this is a great one.
I mean, he could do a couple of things.
Party time.
I mean, if you have more than $5,000 in your 401k, they can't kick you out.
So you could leave it there.
If you like the environment that you're in, you certainly can do that. If your new employer offers a 401k, you can contact the custodian and see if you can import that 401k into your new 401k.
Direct rollover, no taxes, which is great.
You can start a direct IRA.
Right, an individual retirement account. You could do that rollover there. It'll be a direct transfer as well.
So you have 3 pretty decent options, I would say.
Absolutely. And I would only add to that one is that if you do what's generically called a rollover, which is you take that money from the 401k and put it into a self-directed IRA. if you combine it with other IRA assets.
So that means if you had an IRA in existence, or if you were in an interim where maybe you were self-employed after you left your employer, or just wanted to make an IRA contribution, if you add any other money that didn't come from your former employer's 401k plan into that same IRA.
Think of it like Quick.
Like what?
Quick.
What's that?
You know Quick. Honey, chocolate milk?
Yeah.
So you have milk. You have a glass of milk. It's your IRA. You then pour Quick into it. New stuff, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine to go. What happens is you don't have milk with Quick in it. Now you have chocolate milk. So when you have chocolate milk, you can't separate it anymore. So you can't take that money back out, put it into a new IRA.
You mean a new 401k?
Yes, but what you can do is stay tuned, because we'll be getting ready for hour number 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement right after we have these commercial messages.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Welcome back to Straight Talk on Retirement. You've been waiting for the entire previous hour for this moment. It's our Smart Choices About Your Healthcare segment.
Don't have to wait any longer.
That's right. We're going to be talking Medicare open enrollment. Let's talk about John.
John, a longtime financial client, came in for a review last week. He's been retired and on Medicare for the last 4 years. When he first joined Medicare, he elected a Medicare Part G supplement through Transamerica and a prescription drug plan we've helped him change several times over the last couple of years, and continue to in a continuing attempt to keep his drug prices as low as possible.
So, John, we're going to set the Medicare Part B premium to the side because everyone pays that no matter what if you are a Medicare enrollee. So Medicare Part A and B come directly from the government. They make up 80% of your medical expenses. We're going to talk about how are you covering the last 20%, and if you are, can we help you cover that last 20% that Medicare Part A and B does not cover in a more effective way.
So John is currently paying for his Medicare Part G. He's paying $233 a month. And when we combine that with his Part D drug plan, it's $27 a month. We combine those two, we're at $260 a month. That's $3,100, $3,120 a year in premium.
That's right. So, ready with this information because John sent it over in advance on his medical questionnaire where we ask for a few things, right?
Absolutely. We want to know your doctors, your prescriptions, your current drug coverage, and the prices.
And the reason for that is we would like to tailor our hour-long Medicare coaching session to you. So if you're interested in a tailored Medicare coaching session, you can always give the office a call, 314-863-0008, or send us an email, aaron@jblfinancial.com. Because when we have all that information about you, just like when we sat down with John, we asked him, wouldn't it be great if we could secure coverage for you that would, 1, allow you to keep all of your doctors that don't require a referral to see them, 2, fill your prescriptions at reasonable prices, and 3, provide you with the same level of coverage and access that you have now, but cost significantly less.
Who wouldn't want that?
They do. Everybody wants that. So let's talk about how. It's called Medicare Advantage. Now, I've heard many a joke on this, Medicare Disadvantage, all of these things, but what I'm going to say is Medicare Advantage the ultimate advantage? Let's run John's numbers specifically. So let's just keep in mind that John's spending about $3,100 a year in premium alone. Medicare Advantage plans have been around since the Reagan administration, and they really didn't pick up in popularity until about the last 15 years. And since then, not only have they continued to improve, but they are significantly more competitive, if not ultimately now at this point competitive with those traditional supplemental plans that John was currently using and many listeners might be using right now. Over the last several years, the improvements to Medicare Advantage plans have really accelerated, not only because of changes to Medicare laws themselves, but also increased payments from the government to Medicare Advantage plans, increased enrollment in Medicare Advantage plans, have actually given insurance companies, all of those things coupled together, the ability to improve the benefits over time for you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about specifics. With traditional Medicare, John pays everything up front. Healthiest year of his life, sickest year of his life. His premium, that $3,100, is locked, and it's only going up. Right now he's paying $3,100 a year. In 5 years, he's going to be paying more than that.
Right, and he's 69 years old now. He's been on Medicare for 4 years, and his premiums are already elevated from where they were when he first joined Medicare. So, as you said, Rob, those are just going to continue to go up, which means his fixed cost is going to continue to rise every single year. With Medicare Advantage, you have access to comprehensive coverage, which means you get medical, you get prescription, you have all the protections that Medicare affords you, but you only pay for the coverage when you actually use it. I don't think, unless you were lucky enough to work for, or, as I like to say, luck is the residue of design, for a company that provided you health insurance with no extra cost to you, most people can never say that they only pay for their coverage when they actually have to use it. So, number one, I think you're already coming out ahead. So, let's use a few examples of when you have to pay using a Medicare Advantage plan. Let's talk about the copays, because with traditional Medicare, a supplement like Plan G that John was using, he doesn't have copays when he goes to the doctor because he's paying the insurance company $233 every single month for the luxury of not flipping the doctor any cash when he walks in to see them.
But am I right, honey? He still has a deductible, doesn't he?
So he does have a deductible to meet. However, for routine things like visits to the primary, men's wellness, in John's case, women's wellness, in a woman's case, if they are on a supplemental plan, those things don't go towards the deductible. But you have a specialist visit, you need x-ray, MRI, anything like that, you're going to be paying towards that deductible, which is a little over $200 for 2023. So you could be paying a little bit out of pocket, but in general, your out-of-pocket expenses are kept relatively low because you're paying every single month for access to no copays. So if John decides to utilize a Medicare Advantage plan, almost every single Medicare Advantage plan in the St. Louis metro area has a $0 copay for the primary. So that means not only your first visit to the doctor every year, so your annual checkup is no charge to you, but every subsequent visit to your primary care doctor is of no extra charge to you. So you get to see them at no cost.
What if you want to go see a specialist?
The specialist copay, this is the lowest I've ever seen it in 11 years. It's $20.
$20?
$20 to go see your specialist. Now, here's the even better one. It is $75 for advanced imaging. That's CTs, that's MRIs, that's spiral CTs, that's any... X-rays are zero. They've been around since the Renaissance, but
they just charged me $1,500 for an MRI.
Well, you just got to age like 25 more years. But if we were even comparing last year's benefits, most of the insurance companies that were offering Medicare Advantage plans put your advanced imaging on a sliding scale of $100 to $300. So they have not only have they cut out the bit of guesswork you might have had, is my MRI going to be $100, is my CT going to be $300, they've created a consistent copay of only $75.
So, wait a minute, if the copays for advanced imaging is only $75, what if you need just like a routine lab or x-ray work?
Routine lab and x-ray is no cost to you. Again, so no copay for the primary, no copay for the lab and x-rays, and worst case scenario, so you have top-end protection with this policy of $2,400. Now, I know I was ranting about the greatness of the copays here, so you may have forgotten that John is already paying $3,100 a year in premium alone. So that means if John goes to the doctor one time, maybe 2 times in the year, he's paying $3,000 for the luxury of doing that.
So his max out-of-pocket would be $2,400.
So that's
worst year of his life.
That means
worst year,
most that you could spend.
But right now, he's being charged as if it's his worst year because he's paying $3,100, and that's only going up.
Exactly.
So he's on an escalator that's going up.
He can't get off of unless he likes Medicare Advantage. So, like you said, in the worst case scenario, John's going to pay $2,400 at most for his care.
But being on a supplement plan, it's like it's his worst year every year because $3,100 is out the door, and that figure is only going up.
So let's say that, John starts to go downhill, and every year does become the worst year of his life. We're going to still save him $700 a year because the maximum out-of-pocket is $2,400. He's currently paying $3,100 in premium to get the same exact services, really less services, because, wait, you can't believe this, but it gets better.
So he's already saving $700 and change baseline, and that number is only going to go up because his supplement is only going to go up. So,
right.
I mean, but you're saying it's going to get even better?
I'm saying it gets better because Medicare Advantage offers so much more than just medical and prescription coverage for you. All of the plans offer dental, offer hearing aids, offer fitness options for you, offer copay reimbursement that we mentioned in the last hour, offer extra benefits. So let's just use an example of one of the Medicare Advantage plans and their extra benefits. $3,200 a year in dental. $3,250 a year for dental.
That's more than any plan, any company plan offers.
It's like a new set of dentures.
There is no deductible on this. There is no premium for this. So you are literally going to get $3,250 to use towards your dental. You can see any dentist you'd like. In this particular case, some insurers have dental networks, so you want to be careful when you're making this decision if dental is important to you. $2,000 per year per ear for hearing aids. So that's
I didn't hear that. Give it to me again.
I already heard that joke when they first introduced this benefit a few years ago, which is $4,000 a year of benefit for you. You can use those for new hearing aids. You can use those for maintenance on your hearing aids. You can use those for new batteries, for tune-ups, for the extra. I know that for some people, if they have extra accoutrement, so to speak, that go along with the hearing aids, that can all be used towards that, and that benefit renews every single year. $1,200 a year for a fitness reimbursement.
This is
new.
This is new, but this is exciting to me.
So there are a couple of ways that you can use this fitness. Actually, there are a plethora, a cornucopia of ways that you can use this fitness benefit. First, if you like a gym that doesn't include silver sneakers, you will pay the difference in the, you can use the $1,200 a year towards your fitness membership if you want. So if you don't like silver sneakers, you can use $1,200 towards a fitness membership. You can use it for...
So as an example, like the J.
The J, if you have an Aetna policy or an Anthem policy that uses silver sneakers, but you want access to lifetime fitness, you can use it for that. If you want to buy tennis shoes, pickleball rackets, insoles, anything that's related to fitness and activity, you can use the $1,200 for. It works as a reimbursement. So you save the receipt. You ask Frank, if you work with us, for the reimbursement paperwork. You fill it out, or you have Frank fill it out because that's what he's there for. Send it into Aetna. They will send you your cash back.
Whoa, Nelly.
Whoa, Nelly is right.
I want to talk about a real sport.
A real sport.
Golf. Now, my understanding is the insurance company is going to pay for golf clubs, but what they will do is reimburse you for greens fees. And what I did was I did the math on this, and this is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
You decide you want to go to Ambrier. You decide you want to go to whatever public golf course. You pay your greens fee.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's $50, which it typically is in a public golf course, including carts, etc. You can do that once a week, right?
Yeah, that would be
4 times.
So, right, that would be
$200. You send in the receipts, and it sends you a check back. Is that right?
That's right, up to $1,200 a year. So you don't have to do this on a monthly basis. You could save all your receipts till the end of the year and ask for your full reimbursement at one time.
And then you can buy golf lessons with that money you got back, and a new set of irons to go with the new swing that you have from your new golf lessons. So you're talking about $1,200 is a lot of money towards golf.
Also, they're going to give you $800 a year for copay reimbursements, $200 a quarter. So, yeah, you can enjoy your golf, but also if, you swing the club a little too hard right out of your shoes like Tiger Woods does.
And I did last week, yeah.
You need a you need an MRI, maybe a X-ray on your arm. Actually, the X-ray would be free, so you wouldn't use your copay card for this. But if you needed a CT and you have to pay that $75, you can hand over a copay card that you'll receive with your new health insurance card if you enroll in this plan. Hand that to them. They will charge against your $200. You don't even have to take $1 out of your pocket. You don't have to fill out reimbursement forms. But one of these companies, Aetna, actually, is going to pay for your copays up to $200 a quarter. So that takes your $2,400 maximum out of pocket down to $1,600 for the year if you used every single dollar for your copays. And honestly, we hope you don't, because that means that you probably be using the doctor quite a bit. But it's there,
honey,
for
you. Let me ask you a question. You were talking about the fact that this $1,200 also benefit that's available really for health clubs, etc. What if you're like me and you're really not quite ready to show your body off in public, and you decide that, you know what, I want to buy an elliptical, or I want Christy Brinkley to come visit with me after I bought my Chuck Norris Total Gym.
Yes.
Okay.
All of these things you can use the $1,200 for: fitness equipment, personal trainers.
Oh, you can buy fitness equipment?
What do you think a pickleball racket is?
Oh, this is great. I've got to get on between the MRIs that are $75, and now they're going to pay for your good times at the gym, and you can even put it towards equipment itself. Like, oh my God,
right? And I mean,
nobody says you're going to do all this, but if you do the math here, you're talking about $1,200 on the one side, 200 times 4, $800. That's $2,000. You got a $2,400 out of pocket maximum. You kidding me?
Well, let's just add it all up. $3,200 a year in dental, $4,000 a year in hearing aids, $1,200 a year in fitness reimbursement, $800 a year in copay reimbursement.
That's almost $10,000 in extra benefits.
So here's how I like to think about it. For years, and we even have a comment, they should do this for everyone. Right, because all of us under 65 have had to suffer. Not only do you pay premium for your health insurance, but you have to pay out of pocket every time you use your health insurance, whether it's copays to the doctor, co-insurance if you need procedures and things like that. And most of the time, our maximum out of pockets or our deductibles are nowhere near the $2,400 level. Most people are now up in the $3,000, $6,000, even $10,000 level out of their own pockets before the insurance company starts to create protection for them. With these Medicare Advantage plans, you've got $3,000 or less. In the worst case scenario, they're going to give you $9,250 back. So what that says to me is, if you maximize all of these benefits, and I'll even set aside the hearing aid benefit, because even if you do use it 1 year, most people don't maximize that benefit every single year. So let's not juke the stats. They're going to give you back $5,200 a year. So that means even if you are someone that is going to use your maximum out of pocket every single year and hit that $2,400 that it is right now, as long as you maximize all of the extra benefits that these insurance companies are going to provide you, they are going to return almost $2,800 a year to you. So that means they're essentially paying you to use their coverage, even if you hit your maximum out of pocket.
Well, it's interesting, because the way that I had always looked at these plans, especially when you're paying premiums in advance, which you do with supplements, is that you say, okay, let's take that money and stack it up on the table. So you got $3,200 that you're putting on the table in fixed premium. With Medicare Advantage, it's called how much of this money am I actually taking off the table? Well, now you're going, okay, I'm normally going to take less off the table, even in my worst case scenario, $2,400 of that $32. But now if I'm doing other things, like trying to be more healthy, if I'm buying equipment, they're going to facilitate me doing that. They're going to be giving me money back.
And we also we left out the $700 that John is going to save no matter what, because of the differential in premium that he was paying versus the maximum out of pocket.
And that's only going up. That $3,100 number is not static. Because on the supplement plans every year, that's going to be readjusted, and $3,100 is going to become $32, going to become X, going to become Y, going to become Z.
And I can say from experience, over the last 11 years, the maximum out-of-pockets on Medicare Advantage plans have absolutely fluctuated. They've been as low as $2,300. They've been as high as $3,400. However, that is a worst-case scenario because, like we reviewed, these copays, you're going to be able to access services without having to pay high dollar amounts to do so. Just because you need the doctor, just because you need a procedure, a lab, a test, some physical therapy, that doesn't mean you're hitting your maximum out of pocket. So if we think about your health over a 20-year period, not every year is a $0 year where you get to bank every dollar of premium that you would have paid the insurance company, but certainly not every year is your worst where you're going to pay out your maximum out of pocket. So over the course of time, Aetna and United actually did a study on the Missouri and Illinois area and found that you're only going to hit your maximum out-of-pocket one time every 7 years. So that means for 6 years you get to bank the excess that you haven't spent in premium to put towards those maximum out-of-pockets. And over the course of time, that should mean that you are going to be spending less on your health care than you would have simply by having the comfort of paying a monthly premium. And is that really comfort? Because for $3,100 a year, if you see the doctor twice, would it be comfortable for you to pay $1,500 at the window when you log in for your appointment? They say, okay, your copay is $1,500. That's essentially what you paid for. So why not pay nothing for it?
Well, I'm sitting here doing the math.
Why not get paid to have the plan? You get paid.
Using that 1 in 7 year as a guide, I mean, if you're banking the money that you would have spent on a supplement plan premium,
every
in this
year
case, $3,100, 6 times 3, you're at $18,000. So when you hit that 7th year, where you are going to hit your max out of pocket,
you
already banked almost $20,000 in premium.
Well, I'm thinking the other way. I'm sorry, I'm a little greedy. No, I'm thinking about all the clients that we talk to. They go out of town. Many of them go south for the winter. We know they're golfing. We know that they're playing golf. Getting your golf paid for while you're on vacation. Getting reimbursed by Aetna for playing golf. Are you kidding me? Life is good.
We have a deluge, that's the word I'm going to use, of text questions to get to. So what I think we should do is take our first break of the hour. If you have some text questions, please send them in, 84126. We are going to answer every single question before the hour is through. We'll be right back.
Boy, the heat and the humidity of the summer is gone. We can open up the windows and enjoy some of that fresh air. Oh, wait a minute. You can't open up your window? It hasn't been opened up since the Reagan administration? Time for you to get new windows and maybe some new doors. Where do you get windows and doors? Well, you go to the store to get them, the window store. That's right, the window store, WS Window and Door. They've been around a long time. Larry Thornton, the owner, he's trying to retire, but he keeps selling windows. Now, they don't really sell windows. All they do at the window store is they give you a bid. That's it. That's all they do. And then they'll let their bid do their talking. Every window and door is energy efficient. There is no upselling. There is no marketing, buy one, get 70 free, or take 900% off. No. The window store is a great St. Louis company with great St. Louis people, and all they want to do is give you a bid, and they'll let their bid do their talking for you. So open up that door, open up that window. Make the phone call, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
1028 here on the Big 550. Halfway through hour 2 of Straight Talk on Retirement. We're taking your questions about Medicare. 314-931-5877 and 84126 from the Getting Full, but we're going to start emptying it text line.
Kick it off.
And our next texter writes, hey, I was looking at the comparison of Aetna plans, and I noticed under Aetna Gold, there's no provision for out-of-network. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
You are reading that correctly. So the Aetna Gold policy is an HMO. They have lifted the referral requirement, so it feels more like a PPO-style plan because you do not need to request permission to go to a specialist that is in-network from your primary. You can just go ahead and make the appointment and go. There are no out-of-network benefits available. However, that is strictly
while you're in the network area.
Well, that is strictly based on physicians that accept the policy. So if you're in an emergent situation and you go to a hospital that is not in network, so you go to an ER that isn't covered by the plan, that is going to be covered as in network. If you go to an urgent care that is out of network, that is going to be covered in network. In the United States and throughout the world, you have ER access out of network. If you go to another state and you would like to visit a physician, as long as they accept Aetna, they will accept you. So no longer does the Aetna policy have a community-based network any longer. They're going to allow you to access their national network. So the real differential here is you just want to call and make sure that they accept Aetna and they accept the Aetna Gold plan in St. Louis if you want to go see that physician. However, I can say that Aetna has one of the largest, if not the largest, network available available under the Medicare Advantage plans in the St. Louis metro area. So usually we don't see people having many issues. I also know that there's about an 80% overlap between the HMO network and the PPO networks that's offered through Aetna. And that's relatively true across the board with Anthem and United as well when we're comparing network sizes from their HMO to their PPOs. But since the texture is looking at their comparison booklet, I would be less concerned about the out-of-network benefits as long as your current physicians take the policy, because if you don't see a physician, you don't need to see them. But when you are looking at what the benefit comparisons are on the Medicare Advantage plan, so for example, the Aetna Elite PPO, which was the first zero-premium PPO in St. Louis County, their maximum out-of-pocket is $4,500. So just for the ability to go in and out of network, you're going to pay potentially $2,100 more a year in the worst-case scenario. Their benefits on a line-by-line basis are a little bit more expensive. Now, if you want the access and you want the freedom to see literally anyone in the country that you want, there'll be slightly different prices depending upon in and out of network. You can do that. You'll just pay a little bit more, but I would strongly consider, now that the HMOs and almost every HMO except for Essence has lifted the referral requirement, that these HMOs and PPOs are starting to look real similar in terms of how you use them, but the prices haven't really come together.
Am I correct in that once you're going through a coaching session with Frank, and you've given us your physicians as well as your prescriptions, Frank's going to be looking at your prescription list and letting you know if there are any physicians that are not participating in Medicare and or not participating.
Probably have to look at your physician list to find that out.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I meant to say physician list, but also whether they're in the network. And if all your docs are in the network, the probability is if you're going to see a new physician, he's going to be referred by a current physician who will be referring you in the network, and therefore having a plan that only is covering physicians in your network makes sense.
Well, I like to use the example, if your primary care doctor says, hey, it's time for you to go see the cardiologist, you don't flip open the yellow pages to see and look up a cardiologist. You say, okay, primary care doctor, who should I go see then? Or he says to you, it's time for a cardiologist. I'm going to refer you to Dr. Cardiologist 3 doors down from me or in another building. And you're already using a referral process. Most people do that already. You just don't have to formalize it. Let's keep it going.
And our next texter writes, people need to know what their pre-cert times are for those high-tech images. When a doctor's office isn't able to get a pre-cert before 72 hours, it isn't the doctor's office fault. They don't have the pre-cert.
So these are situations that arise frequently, especially because as physicians are retiring, it's putting a lot of stress on the physicians that are currently working. Their patient rolls are increasing pretty significantly. It is the doctor's office responsibility to get the pre-certification. It's also the doctor's office responsibility to get it in a timely manner for you. So if that's not happening, you want to have a conversation with your physician's office because, yes, and this is true if you have a Medicare Advantage plan or if you have a supplement. Pre-certs are required and they have limitations. Really, the limitation isn't restrictive because, it's 72 hours, they pulled that out of the air. They have to make sure that everything is in line with billing, with the insurance company, with the doctor's office, so they need a little bit of lead time. That is an important thing to note, but it's true no matter what type of policy you have.
Okay, and our next texter writes, and this is a great question, can you give an example of when someone might have wished later in life that they went with straight Medicare?
The only example that I can think of is if you retired from your employer, and let's say they had a United Healthcare policy, because those are very popular group health insurance plans. United Healthcare probably gave you a call when they saw that you either went on to COBRA because you weren't quite 65 yet, or you disenrolled from the group health insurance policy, and they say, wouldn't it be great if we could offer you $0 premium for a plan? But you didn't check your physicians, or you didn't check your prescriptions, and you are constantly fighting against your policy because you had to find new physicians, your prescriptions are very expensive because they weren't on the formulary. That, I think, is the value of working with a professional. If you sit down with them, you let them know what your current prescriptions and who your current physicians are, they're going to help you find a plan that fits your current healthcare needs. The other great thing is that I'm looking at a spreadsheet that Frank, our Medicare coach, created that has 12 Medicare Advantage plans available, and those are the top 12 in the St. Louis metro area. There are over 50 options, which means most physicians, because about 66% of people enrolling into Medicare Advantage people enrolling in Medicare are choosing Medicare Advantage. The doctors follow what their patients are using as health insurance because the only way they get paid is if they take your plan. So the market starts to lean the direction that consumers lean, and since they're leaning towards Medicare Advantage, I would say that the likelihood you'll be able to find your constellation of physicians in one network is very high. I would also say that if you know what the benefits are, what limitations there are, and how to use your policy, then you are never going to be disappointed with what you have. The disappointment comes from the unexpected, the surprises, the things that you did not think were going to happen, like you walk up to the pharmacy and you think you're going to have a $5 copay and you have a $500 copay. That creates anxiety. So I would say it's important to do your homework on the front end. Learn as much about the policy as you know about your current policy, which is how much do I have to pay? What's my maximum liability? What doctors can I see? How much does it cost? Where do I fill my prescriptions? And how much does that cost? There's like 6 things you need to know. It's probably about as much as you know about your current health insurance plan. You'll be well armed to be comfortable with whatever you select.
Do you think that because the max out-of-pocket is now lower than most of your combined premiums that you'll pay throughout the year, that will force some of the companies that offer supplement insurance to be a little bit more?
Well, no, because the supplements were always relatively more expensive because if you think about it, they are, saying we're going to cover you at 100%. You're just going to fork over the cash in advance. Also, people tend to be comfortable. People in the past tended to be more comfortable with that because Medicare Advantage wasn't as popular. But now that not only have they grown in strength, in size, and in number, they've also grown in popularity. So, but it doesn't change the insurance companies' price points, unfortunately. Doesn't drive the prices down.
Gotcha. And our next texter writes, do they include PET scans on those imaging copays?
Not for animals. It's a type of advanced image.
Ah. The education of Rob Markham continues.
Yes, they do. Anything that your physician orders most likely is going to be covered under Medicare. It is some of the most comprehensive coverage that you have had in your life because it's backed by the federal government. So that means they're going to give you quite a few rights and protections that maybe you didn't have under your private health insurance policy.
And our next texter writes, is EKG considered a diagnostic test service or a diagnostic radiology service? The first is a $30 copay. The second is a $75 copay per Aetna.
So the EKG is considered a diagnostic test. It is not radiology would usually can be applied to lab work. So, for example, if you had a CT with contrast, that would be fall under the radiology side. The EKG is going to fall under the diagnostic testing side.
Does your plan work with TRICARE?
Yes, it does work with TRICARE. The really amazing thing about TRICARE is that you have full benefit coverage under TRICARE if you're active military. However, TRICARE sometimes limits you to VA hospitals. If you couple your TRICARE plan with a Medicare Advantage plan, you can have access to all of the extra benefits. You can have access to a larger network of physicians. But, for example, if you're getting your prescriptions filled at the VA, it's probably the best price anywhere on the planet. So you can continue to use the VA to do that. Just want to work with a professional to talk about how you want to couple those benefits together. But you can absolutely add a Medicare Advantage plan if you have TRICARE.
Next texter writes, if you're on an Advantage plan, do you not have to deal with the donut hole issue? Thanks. Great show.
Unfortunately. You must deal with the donut hole if you have an individual standalone prescription drug plan or if you have a prescription drug plan that is built into your Medicare Advantage plan, because all of these benefits emanate from the rules and regulations of Medicare. Medicare itself created the donut hole during the Bush administration when they introduced Medicare Part D. They are now closing the donut hole and creating a maximum prescription drug out-of-pocket over the next several years through Medicare, which will eventually be reflected in those Medicare Advantage and standalone prescription drug plans. However, the one benefit to using a Medicare Advantage plan is that you don't have to pay an additional premium for your prescription drug plan. So that's money back into your pocket to, redirect when you do hit the donut hole. Also, many of these Medicare Advantage plans will now offer additional protection when you hit the donut hole. So, for example, if you are on a brand name prescription that is expensive, for example, Eliquis is a popular one that pushes people into the donut hole, or Ozempic, which is another very popular one that pushes people into the donut hole. Many of the insurance companies will now keep all of your other co-pays where they originally were. You'll only see the elevated price for the one medication that got you there. So if you're taking a few generics, they'll stay lower cost. So the insurance companies have done a few things to help contain costs for you. If prescription drug expense is a number one concern for you, if you're working with someone, you definitely want to make note of that to them, because they can help find where is going to be the most cost-effective way to make sure that you're covering your prescriptions.
And the next texter, and it just kind of read my mind, is what is the downside of a Medicare Advantage plan? From your discussion this morning, it sounds great, almost too good to be true. Well, the downside would be is if you don't take a Medicare Advantage plan and you wind up, like John, paying $3,100 when your max out of pocket under Medicare Advantage would be $2,400. That sounds like a pretty big downside.
I think I could reapply one of the answers to a previous question to this, and then add to it a little bit. First being, if you are constantly fighting against your plan, your physicians aren't in the network, so you're using out-of-network benefits on a PPO, or you're paying out of pocket on an HMO because your doctors aren't in the network. If your prescriptions are covered not as well as they could be, then maybe you've selected the wrong Medicare Advantage plan. I think that over the course of the last several years, these plans have improved to the point where almost everyone, it makes sense that you would elect a Medicare Advantage plan if you're comfortable with how the benefits work. I don't think there is a drawback on an individual level to using the Medicare Advantage plans. And then the one final thing that I would say about is there a downside to Medicare Advantage is that when you say, is it almost too good to be true, I've heard that before. But the reality is this is the most expensive coverage you've ever had. From the day you started working up until the day you stop paying in, which is when you leave this earth, you're going to be paying Medicare. You paid Medicare taxes through payroll your entire working career. You're going to be paying a Medicare Part B premium, and you are participating with the cost of your care with these Medicare Advantage plans up to that maximum out of pocket. So, in my opinion, they're giving you the discount on the back end, but you already paid in probably hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes to get these benefits.
Well, using John as an example, I mean, dollar for dollar, it certainly makes sense for him to segue onto a Medicare Advantage plan. And that's just on a dollar for dollar basis, comparing his max out of pocket to what his premium costs are now. We haven't even gotten into all the peripheral benefits that come with Medicare Advantage, just straight dollar for dollar.
To this whole deal is that if you're in the old world, which is the supplement plans, many of your friends are probably there. So the biggest issue is going to be them telling you that you saving all this money is a bad deal. They're just not going to believe it. If they haven't had the exposure, they're not going to really get it.
Someone said that to me, and I said, I think that your friends' opinions are completely valid, but I would say if they're going to recommend the supplement to you, are they also going to pay for it?
Yow.
I think that's reasonable. If, working with a professional, someone that not only has knowledge about health insurance in general, but has taken the time to have to pass the test every single year on the benefits of the Medicare Advantage plans individually, as well as all of the updates to every single Medicare regulation that comes out in order to sell these policies. Talk with a professional. Don't spend your leisure time talking about health insurance. I mean, oh my God.
And our next texter writes, I'm nervously waiting for November 1st enrollment in the discounted marketplace. I have read that BJC was close to closing a deal for 2024 market provider. Do you have any inside info on this?
Unfortunately, my insider information retired, so I no longer have a mole in the BJC system. However, oh my gosh, we have so many text questions. All right, I have heard that BJC is going to be part of one of the networks that will be available on the marketplace. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait with bated breath along with everyone else to find out which plan that actually is. And that's for individuals that are pre-65. The new plans for 2024 are going to be released next week. And you know what? Before we get back to the rest of our text questions, I think we got to take our last break of the hour.
So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with more Straight Talk on retirement after these messages.
Have you been wanting to find the secret to losing weight and getting healthy the natural way without drugs or injections? Hey everyone, it's Dr. Michael Glickert with St. Louis Weight Loss Secret, and I know the secret to losing a half a pound to a pound of fat every day, naturally, safely, and effectively, without counting points or calories. No prepackaged meals, no hormones, no drugs, no injections or surgery. Schedule a free consultation now at moweightloss.com.
It's the end of October. You're going to blink your eye, and it's going to be January 1st, and you will have put on, 4 or 5 pounds between now and the first of the year? What if you were to lose 20 to 30 pounds between now and the end of the year? If you get on the St. Louis Weight Loss Secret program today, you'll start losing real food, real results, and you'll lose a whole lot of weight between now and the first of the year.
Many people lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month. For your free weight loss consultation, go to moweightloss.com. That's moweightloss.com.
Results may vary.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, we're back with some more Straight Talk on Retirement. We're in hour number 2, which means that we're focusing on Medicare. Because we care, that you care, which is why our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877. And the really quickly continuing to fill, which we love, text line, 84126.
But if you have questions we haven't answered, or if I said something that really piqued your interest, and you're interested in having a coaching session, a personalized one, with Frank Ellis, our Medicare coach, please give the office a call, 314-863-0008. Send an email through the website, jblfinancial.com. Click on that Contact Us section. Say, I'd like a Medicare coaching session. We'll get back to you on Monday morning to set up a day and time. But just as a few texts have come in saying they're looking forward to their upcoming meetings, Frank's schedule is filling up. So reserve your spot.
But we already have him chained to the desk, so we have room for more.
Let's keep it going.
And our next texter writes, why is a supplement better than a Medicare Advantage plan? What are some of the advantages of a supplement plan?
I mean, this is a great question because you always want the contrarian side of things, which is supplement plans are great if you want to know your monthly expenses. Now, like Rob's mentioned a few times, it's going to go up every year, but you have a fixed cost every month that you're going to spend. You can see any physician in the country that you'd like. There is no network. Now, that benefit is slowly eroding as the national networks like Aetna, United, and Anthem are allowing for national network access. But in the past, you could see any physician in the entire country if you wanted to. You didn't have to have referrals. And let me see if I can think of anything else that would be an advantage with a supplement. If you happen to find a very low-cost supplement that was less than a maximum out of pocket, and you knew you were going to hit that maximum out of pocket every year, then maybe you would take the supplement. But as these plans continue to progress and just the amount of extra benefits that are being provided by these Medicare Advantage plans, it is getting harder and harder for me to say I would recommend a supplement over a Medicare Advantage plan. The only instance would be if you're one of the people that has a constellation of physicians that don't fit into one of these networks, which is becoming less and less common at this point.
Honey, the only other time I think that I've seen, at least I understand that you've recommended the supplement plan is for someone who's newly enrolling in Medicare, but it's a short year. And they know they're having something that's a scheduled type of a surgery, so...
Okay, that could be true. So if you're aging into Medicare in November and the first thing you're going to do in retirement is not enjoy yourself but get a knee replacement or something like that,
right,
you might say, I'll take the supplement for a couple of months, then during open enrollment I'll flip over.
Yes.
But that's a very... I agree with that, but it's a very limited circumstance.
And our next texter writes, if you are referred to a physician that doesn't take Aetna, you have a problem, especially if you need surgery.
So this is a problem that used to occur a lot more in the past, especially in the St. Louis area, because we had so many excellent hospital systems available, and there really wasn't a disadvantage for doctors referring to other doctors out of a hospital system. Now, most physicians only refer inside of the hospital system in which they work. So if you have a BJC primary care doctor, you're most likely going to be referred to another BJC physician. You can also request that your physician refer you to an Aetna-approved surgeon because there is no lack of care available to you in any specialty area with any of the Medicare Advantage plans. They're required by law to have broad networks. So that means you're going to have multiple specialists, multiple parts of the county available to you. So I would say that that's an issue that is becoming less and less prevalent.
And our next texter writes, question, how does Medicare Advantage plans compare to other plans for seniors with potentially high yearly medical costs like kidney dialysis?
So if you're someone that has high usage, so if your kidney dialysis is usually something that's a pretty frequent needing of care, then I would say you want to compare the maximum out of pockets with the premium that you're already paying. So, for example, if John from our original example at the top of the hour, who was paying $3,100 a year in premium, and the maximum amount of pocket on the plan that fit him the best was only $2,400 a year, even if John needed the dialysis ongoing for life, he would be paying $3,100 for the same services that he would only be paying the $2,400 maximum out of pocket for, and you still get some of these extra benefits. So I think the tide is really turning here, and this might be the year that it's really at the breaking point, in that these Medicare Advantage plans have become so beneficial for people that the supplements are really truly becoming a thing of the past.
And our next text writes...
That doesn't mean we won't sell it to you if you just have to have it. Frank will show you all of the options, which is the benefit of working with someone that can sell supplements and Medicare Advantage plans. And ultimately, the decision is yours, but we feel that we can arm you with the most and best information available for you to make that decision.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the decision is yours.
Right.
I mean, how you consume health care and...
Well, we don't receive any special incentives.
No, we have no skin in the game except for that you are happy, because we also commit to working with you not only when we help you purchase the policy, but throughout the year. So if you have any issues, we ask that you call us and not the insurance company. So we're going to be here to help you work through those problems. So it's to our best interest that you have the fewest problems possible.
I like that. And our next texter writes, in a previous show, you didn't mention that once you elect a Medicare Advantage plan, you're kind of locked in due to pre-existing conditions. Is that correct?
In my dad's favorite word, maybe.
Maybe.
Right. So in the first year that you elect a Medicare Advantage plan, so this could be the year that you age into Medicare, or the sound of all of these benefits that we've been talking about this hour entices you onto a Medicare Advantage plan for 2024, you have exactly 12 months to decide if you like it.
And if you don't, you can go back to...
You can go back to traditional Medicare or your original supplement that you have without any pre-existing conditions. So you're not locked forever. Also, if you move out of the service area, so if you have a special election, you move out of the service area, your plan is no longer offered to you, then you would be able to reselect a supplement if you wanted to, using that special election without any pre-existing conditions.
Oh, that's great. Good morning. Next texter writes, good morning. I've been hearing ads on TV which state that Plan C covers Part A, B, and your med plan. I'm confused.
So, Plan C is another term for Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage combines your Part A, your Part B benefits, your Part D benefits, and also provides medical benefits for you. So, no, Plan C is not a supplement. It's just going to combine all of your benefits together. It's another way to say Medicare Advantage.
And our next texter writes, when my mother went into memory care, she had the Advantage plan for 8 years, which we were very happy with. The memory care home highly encouraged us to put her on street Medicare because at that point no memory care patients went to doctors. The doctors came to memory care, and none of those doctors took an Advantage insurance. By this time, she had a dementia diagnosis and could not pass underwriting. Finally found one company, and it was very, very expensive. Your thoughts?
So, this is not always the case. You might want to work with a professional for the upcoming plan year to see which physicians actually accept which plan accepts the physicians that are coming into the memory care facility. Just because a physician travels somewhere does not mean that they are not accepting the plan. So it just sounds like maybe the particular Medicare Advantage plan you elected is not covering the physicians for that facility. So I would definitely get a second opinion before you make a decision on switching to that more expensive supplement.
And our next texter writes, one advantage to having a Medicare supplement plan over a managed care plan is that the diagnostic testing or high-tech imagings do not require pre-authorizations. If you have a doctor that wants your testing done immediately and the facility has openings there, there's no waiting for that pre-cert.
So it happens in the background. You still have to get pre-certification because the insurance company wants to ensure that it's a approved test by your physician. So I would say that you're going to be under the same rules and restrictions because they all emanate from the Medicare itself. So I think we were able to get through every single text question.
Amazing.
Amazing. But you know what else is amazing? We're going to be back here next week to continue to discuss Medicare Advantage. We have one last question. Can you get it in?
I spend about 6 months each year in Texas and 6 months in Missouri. Will Medicare Advantage work for me?
Yes, it will, but you have to tell us which state you are a resident of, because you're going to have to take the Medicare Advantage plan in the state you are a resident in. And then I'm sure we could probably make it work for you, especially with Aetna, United, and Anthem all offering a national network option.
And that's it for today. 314-863-0008. We'd love to hear from you. Come in and visit us for a coaching session, and we'll see you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.